Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very exciting episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. If you're listening to an audio platform, please download this episode and subscribe to the podcast. I appreciate it. I'm so honored and thrilled to welcome this person today. He is an Emmy-winning actor that starred in Days in Our Lives and ABC News' What Would You Do?, Madam Secretary, and All Rise. He's also an award-winning filmmaker and journalist whose work can be seen in New York, The Hill, The Jerusalem Post, Jewish Week, and Out Magazine. He's also a news commentator for I-24, ABC, BBC, CBS, Fox, ILTV, and Keshet. As of this recording, he has 5.8 thousand Twitter followers, 15,000 Facebook followers, and 143,000 Instagram followers. But most importantly, he's very important because he is a very prominent voice in the Jewish and LGBTQ communities as an activist and advisor. And I'm so honored and thrilled to welcome Yuval David to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be on your show and glad to have this conversation with you.
I want to talk to you. Thank you so much, Yuval. I want to say how much in the past couple of months you have been a bright light and an important voice for our community. So I want to say thank you for all the work that you have done. And I'm so sorry I'm emotional. But I am so proud. I am so proud of what you've done and everything.
I see it as my responsibility as a Jew, as my responsibility as an Israeli, my responsibility as an American, my responsibility as an LGBT person, um, to boldly be an advocate for my people, my communities, my values, my causes, because I think everybody needs to do that. So the emotionality comes with it. I'm emotional every day. It's a very exhausting. We are facing such horrendous times. What's going on to the Jewish people internationally, the battles for our existence and our narrative. And I have found myself not just being emotional, but also getting tougher. I call it my tachlis era. Tachlis in Hebrew, in Yiddish, basically means telling it like it is, being more blunt and direct. I was concerned that it comes off as being mean or aggressive. And I think it's just genuinely where I am right now, which ultimately is I refuse to shrink so others can stay comfortable. Every part of me and my people belong loudly, proudly, and fully, and I refuse for any of our Jewish people to shrink or be erased to make other people more comfortable, especially those people who are against us. And that's why I do what I do.
And I am so here for you and how you've done that. And you inspired me to be outspoken, and you've inspired me to see when everything's something wrong in our industry. I've called out people. I've called out Miss Rachel multiple times. I've called out Cynthia Nixon multiple times. I've called out Imagine Dragons multiple times. I even called Joseph Ablin when Michael Rappaport was cast on Traitors. I called him out as well. So you inspired me to do that.
I appreciate that. I often refer to it. I've been big in sloganeering, I guess. And for a long time, I've said this about myself. I don't fight back, I fight forward. And now I use that same expression, not just about myself, but about the Jewish people. We don't fight back. We can't go back. There is no going back. Back to what? But there is moving forward, because when you fight forward, you do so with purpose, with clarity, and fire. Um, to not be defined by what tries to break us, but to be defined by how we rise beyond it. Um, so, yeah.
Amen. So before we get continue our conversation, I want to get to know you before you got into your role and talk about your beginning. So when did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
I always liked the performing arts. I was raised within them all since I was a child, knew that I wanted to become an actor. Uh, And yet I was completely intrigued by socio-political advocacy and activism and understood that everybody needs to do that. So the advocacy side also was always part of my life, not necessarily from a career standpoint. And my acting developed from being on stage and theater and of eventually off Broadway and theaters around the United States and internationally, and that then progressed to television and film and a tremendous amount of voiceovers. And ultimately that led me towards wanting to create my own content because I'd always write poetry and monologues, and I'd write articles for publications that would get published. So I started to create work within the entertainment industry, and that's how I became a director and filmmaker as well. So yeah, I'm a multi hyphenate and working as a journalist, socio-political advisor and advocate, actor, filmmaker, but ultimately what it is I'm a storyteller with impact. How to use the craft of navigating a narrative to impart a message and have an impact that leads people towards positive action.
And I gotta say this, I was watching Better World when you did or before to prep for this conversation. It was probably one of the best formats I have seen, and I love that your mission was what have you done to make this world a better place? And one of the biggest questions I have to ask you, if you bring it back, can this work in today's world and why or why not?
I should bring it back. I should bring it back because I think I also miss the positivity of it all. Combating hatred and anti-Semitism is exhausting, and we need to lean towards positivity. It also feeds my soul. So the Better World series that I created and hosted aimed to amplify those who do things to make this world a better place, whether through very large actions or very small actions. And that ultimately I ultimately aim to inspire others to do their part to make this world a better place. So, yes, it is very much needed now. I should absolutely bring it back. And if any of your audience members are looking to fund productions, then let me know because we always need good producers.
And guys, we would definitely need to. You can all send your positive ideas only. So only positivity to send to you all. So on social media. So we've got because this is I got you got to do that. And moving on, I want before we leave the acting world, I want to talk to you about your times that you spend on the several sets of iconic sets, Days of Our Lives set, the Madam Secretary set, and then more recently, Feud for Capote versus Swan. So what were some of the lessons that you learned from those sets that helped you grow as a performer?
That the art and creativity of being an actor only works if you approach it as a craft and a business. Those sets are so professionally run. Come prepared, be even more prepared than being prepared. Be ready for anything, move fast, don't bother anybody, get it done, and, you know, be playful in your time to be playful. It's yeah. those
Absolutely.
those are some big learning lessons. I think so many people think that um, the the career of being an actor or even a filmmaker and director, it's all about playfulness. Uh, Playfulness must guide it, but professionalism is the only thing that will continue it.
Absolutely. And speaking of professionalism, you had a majority of yours. You had a long time working on a popular ABC News program with John Quinones. What would you do as you
Great
were in
show.
various roles, and there were some very serious topics that tested people. So, what were some of the highlights that you learned were from this time working on What Would You Do?
I loved working on that show. One of my favorite acting experiences because it was art for social change, creativity with impact, things that very much speak to my neshama, my soul. Uh, it was so fun being able to play a wide array of characters on that show, on that hidden camera show, and it ultimately was all about advocacy and all about making this world a better place, about revealing the good in people, but also revealing the negative parts of people. So I just I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Hidden camera creative show with a social commentary aspect. Truly one of my favorite acting experiences.
And I gotta say this, kudos to you for doing all of that and also working on a part of a hidden camera show that can say, okay, that has so many teachable lessons.
Yes, every show had multiple teachable moments and teachable lessons, and it was great to have an idea of where we wanted to take things, but then to go with the flow. And it was all shaped and crafted by whatever our real experiences were with real people who didn't know that we were filming a hidden camera show until we had the big reveal and let them know that they were on this show.
All righty, we could talk hours about what would you do, but however, we gotta start. I would love to talk to you because you are a phenomenal writer as well. And as I said in my introduction, your work has appeared on several publications such as The Hill, the Jerusalem Post, the Jewish Week, Out Magazine, and Queer Tea. So, what goes through your mind when you write these pieces?
Imparting the narrative. I mean, truly going back to what we were just talking about. I'm a storyteller. I understand who the audience is, what is the issue, the topic, the theme that I wish to write about, and then I think about the audience that reads the articles within whatever specific publication, and how can I craft an article that will be compelling for them, that will grab their attention, that will teach them something, educate and inform them about something. And that's the way I approach it. So yeah, writing for the Hill is very different than when I write for the Middle East Forum, which is very different than the way I write for Algemeiner or JNS, or Ynet, or whatever other publications. I think that's ultimately part of a communication strategy that so many of us can focus on. We always need to know who we are within our opinions, our values, the story that we're sharing, and who's the audience. How does the audience receive that information? How can we share the information with impact and making sure that they're interested? So I think about all of that when I write these articles. And lately it's been, I don't know, more anywhere from 2 to 4 articles a week. So it's a lot, but I like it.
I understand that as well. It's like basically with me, it could be anywhere with I have more fun with like America's Got Talent and music reviews
Okay.
than when it comes to some of our serious topics, which we're about ready to get into. Because the thing is, it's very tough when we talk about some topics that hit home the most. And it's sad to say this, but we're coming up on the second anniversary of October 7th, of
Yeah.
this awful tragedy. And how has the pro-Israel, in your humble opinion, how has the pro-Israel community tackled the rising anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism? And what can its supporters and advocates do better?
I think that the fact that we have so many Jewish organizations that are practicing and doing things the same way they have for a long time is part of the problem. And many of the organizations are aware of that, that they do need to change the approach because it hasn't worked. And I think that we're in the short term, we're going to lose many, many battles. It's going to be worse in the short term than it's been. But in the long term, I am very hopeful and optimistic and think that we are going to get to a better place in terms of how we approach our lives as not just our individual Jewish communities, but as a Jewish people in general. We need to be able to ensure that every Jew and ally, and especially every Jew, is more educated and informed about what Judaism is about. Judaism as a religion, as a culture, as an ethnicity, as a peoplehood, as a nationality, that people will be able to define what Zionism is about and understands that there's so much false information where people are trying to redefine Zionism from their perspective of hating the Jewish people and justifying the hatred of Israel. we need to be able to define Zionism ourselves as the movement for the rights, the liberty, the life of the Jewish people within our homeland. So when people, for example, I want to make sure that everybody can answer that question of why anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. So anti-Zionism isn't always anti Semitism. If anti Zionism goes along with the globalization movement to try to globalize the whole world, which is a stupid movement, which is never going to work because we're a diverse people, and globalization means you practice erasure and try to unify everybody in complete uniformity around the world, that's never going to work. So if somebody believes stupidly in globalization and is against all national movements, then their being anti Zionist isn't necessarily anti Semitic. But if they're only against Jews and having a nationalist movement and Jews being connected to their homeland, then their being anti Zionist is being anti Semitic. We need every Jew to be able, and ally to be able to define that and to talk about that. Every Jew and ally to be able to understand the history of our peoplehood and our religion. And until we get to that point, or even closer to that, we're going to have a very difficult time. We have way too many Jews around the world who don't know enough about their Jewishness. And that makes me very sad. I mean, I read all these books again and again and again because they keep like informing me and reminding me of the past, and to further define the present and do my part to create a better future. That's what education's all about.
I agree with you completely on that. And like the thing is, there's been a lot of, thanks to social media, it's been a toxic whirlpool that I've experienced. It's been like virtual. Like I want to showcase that. I've had mentors of mine say to me, Jacob, you're playing with fire when you're dealing with this. But however, I have to counter back and said, I need to do this. I have to do this. If not me, then who? We
That's
cannot
right.
let people like I'll say this bluntly, the ZMs of the people, the AOCs of the people, and even I'm sorry, the Ben Platts of the world to take over and tell us what we are.
That's right. I mean, the Jewish people are a very diverse people. We need to amplify that. And we also need to do so unapologetically. There are far too many Jews who choose silence or allow for erasure. Silence only helps the oppressor. We must choose to speak and to roar as the lions of our people, so that our vibration echoes through every wall. Our voices aren't just our own. Our voices are generations deep. They carry truth through time. So we need to take action for ourselves, and for those who can't yet take action or are too afraid to. So we need to rise up so other people can rise too, because too many people are not rising up and are choosing to be passive. And that's what got us to where we are in the first place. We did not properly fight against those who are trying to kill us, erase us, and weaken us. We need to fight stronger and fight smarter.
I agree with you completely, 100%. And the thing is with me, like, how do you approach someone that's dead? Because I've had loved ones and dear longtime family friends come up to me and said, Jacob, we're worried about your posting about this. You're gone a little bit too extreme. Like when I tackled Brad Lander and Bernie Sanders, I called them out and Chuck Schumer for Zoran Rodani. But the thing is, how do I approach them, or how do I tell people, or can you advise people who are in a situation how to address that? How to address them?
Speak your truth, focus on your values. What are the values that are important to you? And if you focus on your values, you know how to define and comment on so many world situations and so many people's actions, and you focus on values. What are the values that are important to you? Do American values of democracy shape what you wish to see around the world? Do Jewish values, which by the way shaped democratic values, are those important to you? And you should be able to speak up. For the people who are worried about your speaking up, then why aren't they speaking up? Because you know what? It would be a lot easier for you to speak up if they were speaking up too. It's not about if other people would take action that you wouldn't need to take action. If other people would take action, it would be a lot easier for you to continue to take action. We have far too many people who are doing nothing, who are passive, who are frightened and afraid to move the needle. Fear without action is horrendous and leads to worse things. Fear with courage and action can actually create change for the greater good.
I agree. Well, I completely agree. And the thing is, it's not just like with last month, a friend of mine said, "Did you go to Pride?" And I said, "No, I couldn't because of all the stuff with the Queers for Palestine." And yeah, I admit that I was scared. But the problem is, I don't understand are Jewish people that support who are queer Jewish people, LGBTQIA Jews that support Palestinians when they know about Gaza and they know about what happens if they step into Gaza and reveal that they're not a double negative.
That's right. It's absolutely insane, but the Islamist movements have very much infiltrated the LGBTQ spaces just as they've infiltrated the progressive civil rights, social justice and human rights spaces for decades. Truly for at least 20 years, definitely for 15 years when I started to notice it, and to twist the minds of the useful idiots to believe that these Islamist movements are akin to progressive movements. I'm sorry, no. Islamist movements follow Sharia law. Islamist movements want to have a global caliphate. Islamist movements do not believe in the life or existence of homosexual people. Homosexuality must be condemned with oftentimes with murder, with killing homosexuals according to Sharia law. Women are second class citizens if granted citizenship at all in terms of the rights that they have. I mean, these are really dangerous things. They don't believe in freedom of religion, equal access to education. Um, uh, our progressive movements, civil rights, social justice, and human rights movements are about freedoms and tolerance and acceptance. Yet, what has ultimately happened is the Islamist movements have been so impactful that they've twisted the minds of inclusion and tolerance and acceptance to not be inclusive, to not tolerate, and not accept anybody who isn't exactly like them.
I agree. I agree completely. And that's why I love seeing you going to all these different conferences and interacting with people that are outside who you interact with. And
Right.
as someone that has the opportunity to go and interact with people that are outside comfort zone, or like what, or could you share a quick tip to my audience on how they can build those connections and not be and start those conversations?
It's very important. So, social media has become a major part of our culture and our lives these days. On social media, I urge all of your audience members and followers to follow the other people who are saying the things that they wish that they could say or that they believe in. Uh, Follow, engage, comment, like, share, all of these things, because the algorithm is controlled by us. AI isn't smarter than us. AI is just as stupid as we are and is just going to regurgitate whatever we're putting out there. So, if we want to shift the algorithm on social media, if we want to shift the algorithm within life, we all must be more active and we must collaborate and support and amplify each other and the messages that we want to be amplified. Because if we don't, then the wrong messages are going to be amplified. If we don't fill the vacuum ourselves, the vacuum will be filled oftentimes by things that are dangerous, not just to us, but to others. So everybody needs to be much more active. And it's not hard to be more active. Not everybody needs to run for office, but if you can, do. Not everybody needs to write articles and op eds for all these different publications, but if you can, do. Not everybody needs to have their own podcast, but if you can, do. At least like, comment, share the content that's out there to do your part to amplify the messages, because there are people like you who are bold enough to speak up and speak out and to do something about it. So we all need that support.
Thank you, Yuval. And I think, guys, please go back and listen to those tips that Yuval has, because those are imperative. And I know we're nearing our end of our time, but I want to ask one final question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All righty. Where can my audience connect with you, and where can my audience reach out to you if they have any tips on how to engage and how to make sure that they can counter all the anti-Semitism BS that's on social media?
Well, it's very easy to find me all across social media, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. There aren't that many Yuval Davids out there, Yuval David. So you'll easily be able to find me. Although on Instagram, I'm Yuval_David_, but everywhere else, it's just my name. So follow, send a message, comment on my posts. I have, other than receiving a lot of hateful messages and hateful DMs, which is overwhelming, I also have an incredible community of absolutely amazing, positive, forward-thinking people. So engage with my posts. You'll make some new friends. You'll engage with people who write the most beautiful and kind comments. And that's what we need to do, because social media has afforded us the ability to have communities that, are beyond just who we meet in public spaces or our neighbors. Like, it's a pretty amazing thing. So use that power for good, and definitely not only supporting and following all of my social media accounts and my individual posts, but also follow the people I follow, the people who follow me, and engage with them as well.
Alrighty, guys. If you missed an episode of my podcast, visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar, Jacob Elyachar. Are you on social media? I'm on social media too: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, Jacob Elyachar. And want to see all my what's going on with America's Got Talent, all my music reviews, head to jakes.shake.com. Once again, jakes.shake.com. And I'm thrilled to say that the Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar podcast is a 2025 American Business Award winner. So thank you so much to the American Business Award judges for selecting me for the silver medal for Best Interview Talk Show. Yuval, it was an honor to have you. You're more than welcome to come on my platform. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being a bright light in our world.
Thank you so much. Thank you too.
All righty, guys. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.